early afternoon. Good to see everyone. Beautiful day here in Florida. 79 degrees. Little slight breeze. Sun is out. Sun is out, guns are out. You know what that means. I remember there was a guy in my gym wearing a shirt that said "Suns are out, guns are out," and this anti-gun advocate comes up to him and says, "What does your shirt mean?" She was all ready to like attack him. He goes, "Well, the sun's out, guns out means your arms, because you work out, your arms are out." And that totally deflated whatever narrative she was going to push to him. Now she couldn't push her anti-Second Amendment. Lee Perry, hello, how are you? Good to see you. Little humor in today's show, starting early with a little bit of humor. Where is everybody? Where's everyone? Oh, here we go. London girl. London's calling. Great to see London. Culture of Ghost. Howdy, Bill. Shariar, Nevada Pup. Good morning, sir. I don't think I deserve to be called sir. Not so early in the day, but that's okay. Thank you for your respect. Canary Islands, Owings Trading. Wow. Jojo, good morning. Now I gotta sing. Jojo was a man who thought he was a loner, but he knew it wouldn't last. Jojo left his home in Tucson, Arizona for some California grass. And get back, get back, get back to where you once belonged. Get back, Jojo. Your mama's waiting for you. She's wearing her high heel shoes and her real redneck sweater. Kim Alston, good to see you. Kim, that's right, laughter is the best medicine. You have to have a few laughs, you know, you definitely have to have a few laughs. Moon Goddess, oh my God, first time catching you live. Greetings from Massachusetts. Well, please come to Boston for the springtime. I'm staying here with some friends and we got lots of room. And you can sell your paintings on the sidewalk outside some cafe where I'll be working soon. Please come to Boston, she said no. Why don't you come home to me? Oh, rambling boy, why don't you settle down? Boston ain't your kind of town. There ain't no gold and there ain't nobody like me. Well, I'm the #1 fan of the man from Tennessee. Great tune, huh? Great song that was. Yeah, I think someone was just talking about you. The Alec Baldwin case had a little twist. Actually, the district attorney had to lower the level of the manslaughter charge to a lesser charge. Well, I don't know if it was a lesser charge, but it was a lesser penalty. Instead of, if after conviction, being able to get 5 years in prison, I think it was 18 months. So it's a lesser charge because apparently the upgraded charge was just put on the books, I believe, after the occurrence occurred. So they can't charge that, you know, because the law wasn't in effect when the Rust movie set shooting occurred. So that's basically the gist. Without my notes in front of me, I'm out in public without notes. I'm talking from my memory. That's what I read about it. And look, I think there was tons of negligence on the Rust movie set. I believe Alec Baldwin would have helped himself if he would have shut his mouth. He's an arrogant person. I don't like him. I don't think he should go to prison, though. I really don't. I don't think he should spend time in prison. But many of you guys, I've taken polls. Many of my audience thinks he should go to prison for that. I really, truly believe it was an accident, but an accident that was married up with negligence. So that equals the standard of Richard Resendez, doing well, buddy. L. West, agreed. Happy Pancake Day, fellow Brits. Culture of Ghosts, the truth. She should do a little time. Okay. And BB2, hi Kim, the truth. He's rich. Yeah, you don't, people, because they're rich, shouldn't be punished more severely than people that aren't rich. But again, nor should their riches or their notoriety or their popularity get them out of being treated like everyone else is. That's the canon law. Canon law for you guys that aren't Catholics. It's spelled C-A-N-O-N. It's the law of the Catholic Church. I have nothing to do with that. My name is spelled C-A-N-N-O-N, like the gun, like the canon. Kate Princess, good morning. Frank Gaforos, I love when you sing. You make me so happy. Fran Gaforos. Thank you, Fran. It's part of having fun during the day. This isn't like the real serious show. It's serious, but there's moments of laughter. This isn't as serious as Police Off the Cuff Real Crime Stories. This is a lighter show. And I try to tell people that. Sometimes people will tune in and go, wow, I didn't know you were going to sing. I didn't know you were going to tell jokes. I thought you were going to just talk about true crime. Well, this is a little different than our true crime show. Life is short. Hello, Sergeant Bill. There's a big snowstorm on its way to Minnesota. Your weather looks better. It is so beautiful here right now. I don't want to gloat in it. I love the weather here, and it's amazing, you know. Look, I'm a New York City born, well, Long Island boy, really. I was born in New York City in Astoria, Queens, but good morning, Lou Lemorocco. The view is amazing. I was trying to sit up higher where we could see the ocean, but I couldn't get the Wi-Fi bars to do it, so I didn't want to risk the sound being poor, so I came down further. Bill, if no prison, should Alec be bankrupt by this? I don't think so on that. I don't think so. Look, the law has wisdom that sometimes people don't have, you know, and there's a civil case. I believe he settled with the main person in the civil case, and that was Helena Hutchins' husband. So he settled the civil case with him. But now Helena Hutchins' family and others from the crew of Rust are suing also. So I don't think it's going to bankrupt him. Some of what will pay out the lawsuits are the insurance. Don't forget, Alec Baldwin was a producer on the film Rust. A producer that took no responsibility for anything, but he was a producer. So maybe that's all part of it, you know. So I don't know. I didn't really want to talk about Alec Baldwin today because there's going to be more. There's going to be more time to talk about that because the case is still like in the hearing stage and everything, and we'll see if it does go to trial. Jennifer Bossert, the son Buster settled in the beach case for the $6 million. Buster kept $250,000. Wow. Are you talking about the boating accident that the other brother, the one who was killed, that he was piloting that boat when the young girl, 19 years old, lost her life? Is that the accident you're referring to? Horrendous, right? Vicky O'Quinn, did your son make it down yet? My son is probably going to come down here in April sometime. So my son's living in Denver right now. He's going to be 31 years old, April 18th. Can you believe that? Does that make you feel old when you're a parent, that your oldest son is going to be 31 years old? My youngest son just turned 28. I couldn't believe that. I lost a few years there. I wanted to say, wait a minute, aren't you going to be 26? How the hell did you turn 28? I didn't want to admit it. I think I was being, you know, I didn't want to face it that my little Jake was going to be 28, you know? And my oldest, Casey's going to be 31. What does that make me? God forbid. Vicky O'Quinn, my oldest is 40. Right, Vicky, you can't believe it though, right? You almost can't believe when your kids get that old. You're like, that's always be your kids, right? You still call them your kids, you know? Sometimes I'd call it was like a pet name. I used to call them, my sons collectively, the Foolish Jacks. I wouldn't call them Jackass because that's not nice, but I'd call them the Foolish Jacks as a joke, you know? And it got to be funny. And then when they're girlfriends, I'd call them the Foolish Jills. I don't know if they liked it. I don't know if they liked my sense of humor, but, you know, it's all in fun. It was all in fun. You know, I don't know, all this woke stuff. Mystique, good to see you, Mystique. Always good to see you. 83 people in the chat, 41 with the thumbs up. Did you guys watch the show last night? I thought we did a good job. Let me pat myself on the back. I thought we did a pretty good job last night. Professor Geary explained the importance of the preservation of the scene last night. It pertains to all cases. Absolutely, absolutely. Mike Geary's a gem. I really like Mike Geary. I think he's very smart. And he's different than Phil and I, you know. Mystique, great show. Thanks for watching, Mystique. Vicky O'Quinn, I watched the replay. Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. You know, the topic, the whole Idaho quadruple case and the Brian Kohberger It's not as popular right now because it's almost like on a hiatus, you know. People are waiting for new information, and there hasn't been a lot of new information. So, Diane Krause, hi Sergeant Bill, great show last night. Thank you so much. I like when my audience says it and not me, that I have to praise myself. Kate Princess just finished last night's show and I loved it. The three of you together are always my favorite. Great dynamic. Thank you, Kate, or Kate or Princess. I really appreciate that. It's so nice to hear that you're doing good things. Moon Goddess 422, I listened on the way to work this morning. Wow, Diane Krause, great show. Okay, I just finished. Okay, you guys are, I'm repeating it. You know, guys, I don't know if you guys know, but we're on a, you can listen to our podcast on a site called Anchor. And if you go on Anchor, and it's listed in the YouTube link where you can listen to us on Anchor, and it's on Spotify, it's on Google, it's on public radio, it's on like 8 or 9 listening sites. So if you're in your car and you don't want to play the YouTube channel, you can go on Anchor and listen to it almost like a radio station, and that's Anchor. So again, it gives you more options, and I download every episode from YouTube onto Anchor. Linda Daughtry always has great information. Well, thank you so much. That's, you know, Mike and I, well, Mike still is a professor, and I used to be a professor 6-7 years ago, you know, before I left to try other things in life, acting and stand-up comedy. It's funny, someone that did stand-up comedy contacted me today and said, Bill, I miss you. And I said, yeah, I miss you guys too. I said, I only saw you when I was doing stand-up comedy, and I don't do stand-up comedy anymore, so I haven't, I love listening to you chatting. I'm making a dinner, fantastic show last night, Black Widow. Thank you so much, that's very kind. So if you want to listen to us and not watch, you know, we have other choices. You can go on Anchor and listen to us. Chris Marley, 45,000 subs. Police off the cuff, woo, congrats, Sergeant Cannon. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. You know, the YouTube the whole story thing, it goes in waves. You know, you get these big stories, and then the news cycle slows down a little bit, and you don't get the big stories all the time. And of course, the Idaho quadruple is a huge story, but it's sort of it's slowed down because of the gag order, and people are hungry for new information. There's no new information. And Black Widow, County Meath. He was born and raised in Ireland. Jack Duggan was his name. I always remember my father singing that song when we were kids, you know. Lou Lemorocco, love, respect, safety at duty, Ron. Vancouver, KH Walker, I told you, if you run into Jim Burns, tell him I said hello. And I hope you do run into him, because he's a tremendous musician, a great man. And when I met him in Italy, and I think it was, wow, it was my wife's 40th birthday. And we went to Italy, well, we went to a bunch of places, but this place that doesn't exist anymore, it was a place called Villa Delia, and it was on a winery, and it was a cooking school, and the food was just unbelievable. And I think the owner, I don't know, he may have had to. Daddy Crab, thank you for $1.99 super chat. Good to see you, Wild Bill. Well, thank you. It used to was every once in a while I've been called Wild Bill, but it's I prefer Supreme Commander. No, I'm just kidding. That's just a funny name. So yeah, the place I met Jim Burns at a place called the Villa Delia. He was staying there with his wife, and they were playing his music when we were having lunch, and I asked the owner of Villa Delia, I said, who is that? I really like his music. He goes, Noville 69, Bill, have you been losing weight? I bet you I haven't weighed myself. I work out every single morning. I try to do anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour of, yeah, KH Walker, I know Jim Burns lost his legs he was pushing a car to the side of the road, a disabled vehicle, helping someone, and he got hit by another car that came up, and he lost both his legs. Horrible, horrible. But the man didn't let it slow him down in life. He became a really accomplished actor. He was already an accomplished musician. And lovely guy, great guy. Every time I see your name when you say you're from Vancouver, I always say say hello to Jim Burns. And Chris Molly, oops, Martha mine, I didn't have my eyeglasses on. I mistook your name for Miller. It's mine, I got it. So guys, how's everyone doing? Oh, I gotta plug this. Tomorrow night, I know that everyone knows that the fentanyl problem in this country has reached epidemic proportions. Tomorrow I'm having a journalist on the show. His name is Jonathan Alpieri. And I've had him on the show before. He's actually a war correspondent. And he's like a photojournalist that goes to, he's already been to Ukraine. He's been to every war site. Years ago, he was kidnapped by Syrian rebels and held hostage for 3 months. They were trying to get a ransom to get him and to release him. He got out some way. They didn't pay the ransom, but he's on the show. He wrote an article for a magazine. I don't have it at the tip of my tongue right now, but it's about, thank you, Lieutenant Pete. Lieutenant Pete said, excellent show last night. I can't tell you how much I appreciate Lieutenant Pete and Richella. They're just two great people, and I hope you guys had a great time in your trip down to Florida. Lieutenant Pete, did you drive the whole way? Because I know you went to Marathon in the Florida Keys, and that's of course south of Miami. It's a good, I'd say it's about 2 hours from Miami, I think, maybe less, because when I go to the Keys, I always drive from Fort Lauderdale, that area. And then of course, they went to Marco Island, which is so beautiful, Dawn Marie, good to see you, Dawn Marie, one of our great moderators, along with Kim. And you guys keep us honest here. Keep the people on this channel honest. 86 in the chat, 63. Anyway, so Wednesday night at 7 p.m., we're going to have Jonathan Alpieri on the show. We're going to reference his article. And just yesterday, when I invited him on the show, just so happened that the New York Times did a big story about fentanyl and the crisis and how overdose deaths have increased, like, I don't know, at least 50% in New York City. And it's not just New York City, it's all over the United States. Fentanyl and the prescription drug addictions has become a huge, huge problem. And we're going to talk about that. And maybe it's sort of like almost like a public service show, but we're going to talk about that. Noville 69, I'll be in Florida at the end of the month, looking forward to getting to warmer weather. Culture of ghosts, nasty drug. Yeah, and the article points the finger right at, of course, the cartels in Mexico, but it also points a big finger at China. China is supplying the chemicals that make the fentanyl, and then it's being used by these drug cartels who are making millions of fentanyl pills, and then they're being smuggled into the United States, and the United States has probably the biggest fentanyl addiction problem in the world. So it's a real problem, and many ridiculous amount of drug overdoses. And that's what the show on Wednesday is going to be about. So, if you have anyone in your family, which probably every single one of us have someone that has gotten addicted to drugs, was addicted to drugs, maybe overdosed on drugs, lost their life to drugs, this is an important show, I think, to tune into. I think that it really is a very important show. So Wednesday night, 7 p.m. It'll be myself, straight out of Brooklyn, Phil Grimaldi, straight out of academia, Mike Geary, straight out of the Bronx, myself, and okay, Chris Marley, we'll watch the rebroadcast Wednesday. Can't do live during time. Okay, that's great. Look, the rebroadcast and you folks that support us watching the rebroadcast of our show, thank you so much. I mean, that's the police off the cuff family, and I call it a family. I don't call it a nation. We're not a nation, we're a family, right? Calm, I'll be sleeping because I work the night shift, but we'll definitely watch replay. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you guys. So, yeah, you can see, I mean, it's a beautiful day today. And eventually, once I finish this show and stop home, I'm going to, Rich Borgia, good morning. Supreme Commander, love it. Yeah, so I'll go home and I'll edit this up a little bit on the computer, and then I'm going to go to the beach. It just invigorates your life so much when you can just, even once a day for a half hour, an hour, sit on the beach and look at the water. The truth, how are you? It just makes you feel like alive and just invigorates you, you know? I think the ocean is just, I think it has that effect, you know? K.H. Walker, I was a drug prosecutor in Vancouver in the 90s. Well, K.H. Walker, I think in the 90s it was crack was the big drug. At least it was in New York City. And New York City had come off. When I first came on the job, the big drug was heroin. That was 1985. And then all of a sudden, about a couple of years later, crack was introduced to New York City, and it just turned the whole city upside down. Violence, people just, robberies went up, all kinds of crime went up. And, you know, Joey Hertz was watching The Perfect Murder and was surprised to see you on it. Yeah, Joey Hertz, I actually did 6 episodes of The Perfect Murder. Yeah, but probably 6 or 7 years ago. And that was when I got, let me become an actor. Let me see if I can really do this. And I tried a little bit of acting. And yeah, Sunlight Poker 26, it does make you feel great. That little, it gives you life, having sun on your face and, you know, Lulu, Coffee, Cuffs, and Candid Cannon. I love it. Why can't I ever remember that? Coffee, Cuffs, and Candid Cannon. I love, that's a good name too. Guys, you're listening to Coffee, Cuffs, and Candid Cannon. I'll say that first. Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill, Beachin' with Bill, and a million other names that some of you guys have made up that I can't remember all of them, but you're all welcome to name this show. I just can't fit it on the computer, all those different titles, you know. Coffee, Cuffs, and Candid Cannon. I like that. I like that. Very good. Poker 28, looking at the palm tree and the smile. Love that. Love that. So cool. Lula Morocco, that sounds great. Coffee, Cuffs, and Candid Cannon. The 4 C's, yes. Bill the Barber, Daddy Crab. Yeah, it's those perfect. I just did I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, I just did an episode of New York Homicide, and they wanted me to come back to New York, and I said, I'm not coming back. If you want me to do it, get a studio down here and I'll go. And so I went, it was about 2 weeks ago, I went to Fort Lauderdale, probably exactly 2 weeks ago. Today's a Tuesday, yeah, I did it on a Tuesday. I went to Fort Lauderdale, and the guy that was questioning me for 4 hours, he questioned me. He was in New York via Zoom, and I saw him on the screen, and I would answer his questions. And he interviewed me in excess of 4 hours for a murder that occurred in New York City in the 2-3 precinct, December 1st, 2001. That was the same year as 9/11. So it was a double homicide. And so I'm going to be on that show, New York Homicide, featuring that case. And so it should be interesting. So I get to go on TV again. And you know, I'll let you know when it comes on. But it was a thrill. It's always a thrill when you're on TV. C. Noville 69. Vitamin D, C, and zinc are ones I'm taking. It's supposedly good for you. Yeah. You know, it's funny when this is like a park that I'm sitting in, and I'm under this overhang with all these picnic tables. And you know, of course, it's Tuesday and it's empty, but always like you'll be in this empty location and either someone rides by the middle of the thing on a bike or someone walks through. You said, I'm sorry, I didn't rent this, I don't own it. Judith Cruzonos, Nancy Reagan, just say no, your shows are wonderful, feel like a friend. Thank you so much, Judy, really appreciate that. Yeah, that whole campaign during the Reagan thing, just say no. You know, I think you need a little more than just saying no, you know. I mean, think of all the distractions kids have now, right? It was always hard to grow up anyway, be an adolescent, go through puberty, all the things you're going through when you're younger. And now, cell phones, computers, all the things, the video games, all the distractions, and then now they get marijuana's practically legal, gummies. They got all these things that we didn't have. Well, marijuana was around, but it was illegal when we grew up, right? So now they have even more distractions, and I think it's really got to be even tougher to be a kid now, I think, than it ever was. I don't know. You guys can agree or disagree with me. I don't know. What do you think? Rick Borgia, a hot chick can walk by any time. No? Well, I don't think you've seen any yet, so I'm far from the beach. Maybe if I was closer to the beach, but the closer you get to the beach, the heavier, the wind picks up. And that's, I told you guys that the three things I need to do this show outside is A, good Wi-Fi, B, low wind, and C, I need an overhang so I can see the chat. Because if I can't see the chat, I can't interact with you guys, right? So, Mystique, my kids can get pot so easy now that it's legal. Yeah, and Trivia Tuesdays are terrific with Bill Cannon. Lou Lemoracco, thank you so much. You know something, isn't it easier? It's hard to go through life, period, but isn't it easier to go through life if you're sober rather than stoned all the time? Like, what are you hiding from? And look, I'm guilty as much as anyone else with alcohol. Now since I had this AFib thing, I have to cut down my alcohol consumption to practically nothing. If I have 4 glasses of wine a week, that's about my alcohol allotment, And I used to drink, 2 glasses a day at least, sometimes more than that, but don't tell anybody. My wife used to get mad at me. It's bad enough you're drinking every day, but you got to spend, buy a $25 a bottle of wine. I said, what do you want me to drink? I won't name the name because I can get sued if I say the name of a certain Cabernet that people think is good, and if they bring it to my house, I'm like, no, you didn't bring that here, That's called wine snobbery, But I really enjoy my Cabernet. And Boone's Farm, someone said, Pauline Buckles, that was when we were kids, Boone's Farm apple wine. Oh my God. Gallo. Oh. Black Widow, he's got a hot chick, careful, haha. Yes, so, if you enjoy certain drinks, you want to drink. Kim Allison, Sergeant Bill, we love you for your honesty. Thank you, Kim. Sometimes if you're too honest, people don't like it, but it's okay. Linda Cosma, good to see you. Guys, this is Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories, Coffee with Cannon, Backyard Beverage, Bitchin' with Bill. Bitchin' with Bill, Beachin' with Bill. If you're not subscribed to us, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, give us that thumbs up, hit that like button, share us with your family, your friends, not your enemies. So Moody Duck, Chris Molly, there's a broadcast today on YouTube channel broadcasting coastal Florida's archaeological find of ancient submerged cities. Did you guys read about there was a woman killed by an alligator down here yesterday? I forgot the name of the city, but my brother called me last night, and it turns out it's one of his friend's mother or his grandmother or something. And apparently, just all you have to do, crime POW, is to go on our YouTube, Police Off the Cuff, and you can subscribe that way. I don't have it in front of me, the actual link. If you go on our channel, the link is at the bottom in the chat. The link comes up all the time, so you can just join there. If you want to support us financially, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels, and we have a YouTube channel membership with, count them, 5 different levels. And you can join our YouTube and support us that way. And again, I just mentioned recently we have Anchor with 8 listening sites. If you want to listen to us in your car, you can go on Anchor, and Spotify, that's one of the sites. Google, I think Public Radio we're on. We actually have over 2 million views on that because it goes back to when we first started out, when Mark DeMeo and I first started out. And So we have like 2 million views, because initially when we started this podcast, we were just going to be on a listening site, and then we found out about StreamYard and YouTube. Oh my God, that alligator was 600 pounds. They had him trusted in duct tape. Well, did you also, when alligators snatch a human being, they drag the person down to the bottom of the body of water that they're in, and that's where they keep the person. It's really scary, Kate Princess, I'm excited to check you out on Spotify. That will be, and there's almost 1,000 shows on Anchor and Spotify, so you can go back to 3 years ago. I was talking the other day. We did a show with Ralph Friedman, who was the Bronx. What was it called? Bronx Street Warrior. There was a TV show called Bronx Street Warrior, and that was during all the anti-cop stuff. So the show got pulled off the air. It was a pretty damn good show, and Ralph Friedman is he's the real deal, and we had him on our show. I listened to you on Spotify while on my walk last night. You don't need to be near the Wi-Fi. Great, that's fantastic. Willis Pony alligator death roll. Yes, isn't that horrific? No, can you think of a worse way to get killed, by an alligator snatching you? And yeah, right, then they roll with you. Well, you're probably going to drown first if they drag you into the water. Remember that happened to a child near Disney World? That some people brought their toddler and there were signs: "Do not swim here, do not hang," and they did it anyway. And an alligator came and snatched. I think it was like a 2-year-old kid. It was the same thing. They found the kid at the bottom of the body of water. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to. This is horrific, right? An alligator. But in Florida, I mean, there's all kinds of. Do you guys remember when we were doing the what's you call, not Kylie Rodney, I'm trying to think of the Myakkahatchee Preserve, Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito. Do you guys remember when I went to that Myakkahatchee Preserve? Does anyone remember watching that? I walked into it and it was like dark, but it was during the daytime, and all you guys are saying, Sergeant Bill, don't go any further, don't go in there. And I was like laughing, but it was a little bit scary because they have those like wild pigs, those feral pigs that grow to about 300 pounds. And NPB2, and we were yelling, "Get out!" That's right, you were NPB2. And I thought it was funny, but in the same, I wasn't that funny. It was funny, but it wasn't that funny, because I was like, wow, it's pretty scary here. And I wasn't strapped. I didn't have my 9 with me, so I was like, there's all kinds of snakes. There's all kinds of, animals. Willa's Pony's laughing. She thinks it's funny. I really did go into the Myakkahatchee Preserve, but I couldn't go in deep, and that was my excuse, because the Wi-Fi started cutting out. You believe that? That was my excuse, at least. Tina Wright, hello from Canada. 116 in the chat, 93 with the thumbs up. Yeah, so I didn't go in any further, but I got a feeling of what, and of course, guys, that's where they found Brian Laundrie's body, remember? He went into that park or that preserve, and he shot and killed himself, and they really just found his skeletal remains. Do you remember that story? I mean, the whole story is horrible. And of course now the Laundries are getting sued, as they should. I always said, and pardon if you don't agree with this, I always said they were shitty people, the Laundries. They really were. They were just bad people, There was that little advising her son to get the shovel to bury Gabby. Like, it was just horrific people. And their stupid attorney, Bertolino, his advice was horrible, Mark 1, hi Bill, hope you are well. Thank you, hope you're well too. Yeah, so now, of course, the Petito family is suing. Dirty Laundries, that's right, that was coined by the guy Walsh from America's Most Wanted. He coined that phrase, the dirty laundries. Oh, you're talking about rock crabs. Is some town in Florida where the crabs are swarming into the town. Oh, it's good eating though, right? Emmy Headstone, what happened there? Thank you to my moderators for doing such a great job. Sergeant George Ishag. Hello, Supreme Commander. Hello, Sergeant George. Ruth Ann Griffin. Black Widow, agree 100%. I wish I knew what you guys are agreeing with, but this is Coffee with Cannon, backyard beverage, bitching with Bill. I'm so happy to have you guys here with me today. When in California, you must tour Temecula wine country, real big reds, wonderful wines. I've been to Napa Valley, and I could just dive into one of those vats and swim all day and drink the Cabernet. John Cosma, that's right, John Walsh, that's right, John Walsh, America's Most Wanted. Mezel Mom, Murdoch trial getting boring. Well, because the defense is on now, and they're trying to fight the evidence. Is there anyone in our chat that believes Alec Murdoch is innocent? Is there anyone? Do we have anyone? Ziman, come back to California. We'll take you to the wineries. I loved it there. It was beautiful, man. And then every place you go, Canaanites. That's what you fans are called now, Canaanites. Every wine you taste, and you can't drink a lot because booze swim with Bill. Yeah. Oh yeah, booze, wine swim. Swim in that red wine. Poker 26. No, Alec Murdoch is guilty as sin. Well, Mary Michael, Kim Allison. Hey, Canon item. So yeah, when you go to Napa Valley and you try these wines and you'll say, wow, that's really good. And they say, oh, would you like to try our reserve? Of course I would like to try. And you try the reserve and you're like, oh my God, that is unbelievable. How much is it a bottle? It's 150. And you're like, ah, who can afford $150? Well, people go there that can. Oh yes, I'll take a case of it. Is there a discount by case? Lula Morocco. Thank you, Lou. That's very generous of you. Thank you so much for the $25 super chat. Big supporter, Lou. Thank you so much. Tumbleweed blowing by at Murdoch being innocent. Ha ha ha. I don't know. There's so much. How about even, I truly believe he killed his wife and his son, but how about the $8 million he stole? Are they ever going to get to that, or is that going to be included in this case? I don't know. I haven't watched the trial really. I don't know if the judge allowed any talking about the $8 million he stole, but that's a big factor too, don't you think, guys? That he stole $8 million? Murdoch, she wrote, except it's Murdoch, but that sounds still Murdoch, she wrote. That sounds like what you're trying to say too. But yeah, and then how about the kid, Stephen Smith, that was an acquaintance of his son, and then he's found dead on the side of the road. They implied that the Murdochs may have had something to do with that too. So, it's an ugly case, It's that family had and has so much power in that area of South Carolina that it's they got everyone intimidated. They got everyone afraid to speak up against them. They control so much. The insurance companies, you'd probably be afraid to speak out against because they could sue you and exhaust you and just bankrupt you in a minute by taking you to court, right? K.H. Walker, everyone in that family is sketchy. I believe you're right, K.H. Walker, going right back to the great-grandfather, they were the Solicitor General, and that's what they called the district attorney in South Carolina. At least they used to call it that. And then the family came up being the district attorneys of that area, and then they started their own private law firm, which was super, super powerful. So all of those things make this case sort of, I guess, interesting. And Lula Morocco, yes, witnesses are scared or they're in on it. Yeah. The witnesses are terrified because the family is so powerful. And again, when you're an attorney, what does it cost you to go to court? Nothing. What does it cost someone to fight? What you're fighting them against in court could bankrupt them. That's why a lot of times when the federal government charges people, they can bankrupt the people just by making the case last forever. Diana Cusimano Valentine, classic generational abuse of power and position. Yes, I think you're very right. Bill, I've got a question for you. Do you think RoboCop will ever become reality? You know something? New York City had robots that were going to be used in dangerous situations, for example, going into buildings with armed perpetrators, and the city council voted it down, that allowing the police to go forward with using them. Oh, it's too intimidating to the public. Well, that's the whole point. Armed human beings shooting at other human beings. What if we put a robot in there that if you shoot the robot, the worst that can happen is that the robot breaks down. There's no one getting killed. And even, what's her name, AOC from the Squad spoke out against it. Yeah, she knows a lot about law enforcement, you know. She spoke out against it. Oh, robots, oh, how horrible. The person who says she's from the Bronx when she grew up in Yorktown Heights, an affluent neighborhood in Westchester, which is just north of me. So please, I'm from the Bronx. No, you're not. You're not from the Bronx. You're from Yorktown Heights. That's amazing though when you think about her career. She was a bartender. She was a bartender and got elected to Congress. That's incredible to me when you think about it, right? I guess any of us could run for office and, you know, bartender, waiter, server, stewardess. I can't say stewardess, that's politically incorrect. A flight attendant. I gotta get these words down because I'm being too politically incorrect, you know. Sergeant George. At least NYPD didn't have to worry about naked dancers. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Jack Crane, do you think there has been any funny business and trial that benefits like his influence in what? I think there's a distinct possibility, but it seems like that judge was handpicked to more or less cut out all the fugaziness and whatever attempt there could be with using their power or influence to influence the public, the jury. So I think that the trial is going to be fair, and I don't think the judge was intimidated at all by these people. So, Lula Morocco, many good things came out of the Bronx, no doubt. I'm just saying, you know, she's not from the Bronx. You're right. Many good things coming out of the Bronx. I used to tell my students, it's not the Bronx, it's the D-A Bronx. That's the way you say it in New York City. It's the Bronx. The boogie down Bronx, we used to call it, agreed, you know. But, you know, it's like when I grew up on Long Island, and I grew up in Levittown. Levittown had like this sort of rap as a, Chris Marley. I'll let Mike Geary know of that question. He can look at the chat and he can either send you an answer on here. The pronunciation of it can really confuse people nowadays, Sergeant George Ishag. Yes. Just like when I use the term, and in New York City we say it all the time, bodega. And a lot of people in the chat was like, what the heck is a bodega? And NYPD, we use that. Kevin Todd, Central ISIP guy here. Good to see you, Kevin. Long Island boy. Chris Marley, thanks, Sergeant Cannon. Bodega, that's not like a word that we use across America, but it's a word in New York City, and it really is just it's a deli that's usually owned by Hispanic people, and we call it a bodega instead of a deli, you know. And every corner in New York City, well, not every, up above 96th Street. Debbie Johnson just got on from Tucson, Arizona. A lot of people from Tucson. It must be hot in Tucson today, huh? Debbie, is it hot in Tucson, Arizona? Because it's 78, 79 here in Florida. It's just beautiful. The weather has been amazing. You can see I got a lot of color. Oops, sorry. I got a lot of color on my face. So it's the sun has been out. Sun's out, guns out. And then that lady's going to object. Oh my God, what does that shirt mean? A brewer in England, Bill. Fran Mella. It's cold in England. Diane Kusamanoval, Bodega Corner Markets here in Chi-Town too. Yeah, it's, you know, it's part of the diversity of the inner city, you know. Mary Michael, I live 20 minutes from Philly, so I knew what a bodega was. Okay, I'm not saying everyone. A couple of people in the chat said, what the hell is a bodega? I've never heard that before. I'm sure that you guys from England, you English folks, training with Ken and you folks from Ireland, you guys have words for things that we have no idea, right? In fact, I know from being around Irish people from the other side and English people, you guys don't say Merry Christmas, you say Happy Christmas, right? Isn't that true? The Brits and the Irish say Happy Christmas. It's a little different, no, I mean, but there's a lot of words that are British words. And hey, whatever happened to the cab driver from England? Where's he been? The Gabby Cabby. I haven't seen him in a while. Is he still on the air? I missed that guy. Gabby Cabby. I got to go look on YouTube, see if he's still doing his show. I haven't heard from him in a while. Anyone else hear from the Gabby Cabby? If you have, or if you see he's on the air, tell him I said hello, or I'll go on and tell him I said hello. Look yonder is an English saying. Yes, look yonder out over the veranda. Guys, we're at 46 minutes already. So I got a few more minutes. And Father Christmas, not Santa. Wow. It's amazing. You know, it's amazing. Language, different words. I really wish, I'd always wished that I had spoke Spanish, you know, because I would, in New York City, so many people speak Spanish, and I would be there like an idiot trying to learn what they were saying. And then I'd even see a lot of the white cops that were worked in Hispanic neighborhoods, but their whole career, at the end of it, they almost spoke like fluent or enough Spanish that they could communicate. And I was impressed. I was like, how'd you learn that? No, just from working here. I was like, are you kidding me? They go, no, but I'm sure they went home and looked through, you know, the Spanish dictionary or had it in there. And I so wished, you know, look, I took Spanish 101, 102 in high school, and I didn't pay attention, you know. Boot, not trunk, and bonnet, not hood. And the Brits and the Irish always say cheers, right? That's basically like good job, or that's great, cheers. Doesn't have to be when you're drinking, right? But they'll say cheers, you know. Or they'll say, "Hi, mate." We don't say that in the USA, right? Phil Leo, 125 in the chat, 111 with the thumbs up. A little smaller than usual audience today, but a small, appreciative, and communicative audience. And it goes a lawnmower by me, making noise. Bounce means head. Cheerio, pip pip. I love it. Shlanta. That's like cheers too, right? Nora Buckby, Shlanta. Yeah, we're learning something new. We're learning something new on Coffee with Cannon, backyard beverage. And guys, I'm at 48 minutes. I think I'm going to start doing my outro and saying so long, farewell, have a great day. I have no show planned for tonight, but tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, I spoke to you guys about it. We're going to have a Jonathan Alpieri, who's actually a photojournalist, a war photojournalist, but wrote an article about fentanyl and how it's causing havoc in our country. So tomorrow night at 7 p.m., Jonathan Alpieri, straight out of Brooklyn, Phil Grimaldi, and straight out of the Bronx, Michael Geary. Guys, thank you so much. It's Coffee with Cannon. Thank you so much for tuning in today. It's been a pleasure. All mine. Have a